Hey trackers, Bear Tracker Nature Films, here looking at some mink tracks along the Eel River. And this is a nice set of tracks just above the water line. And we've been having a lot of wind, but these tracks have been preserved because they're between a few sticks here that have been protecting them from the wind. So I'm really glad these tracks are still here so I can show you the details of them. There are all 4 tracks right here from a mink that came by here, and the ruler will give you an idea of the scale of these tracks. So these ones are the nicest, so I'm going to focus on these ones first and show you the details that tell you these are mink tracks. So first of all, mustelid tracks in general have 5 toes on both the front and the hind feet, and that's true of mink as well as otter, skunks, and others in that family group. Oh, here comes a dog. Hold on. Okay. Got interrupted by a dog there. Okay, he fetched the stick. Back to the mink tracks. Okay, so 5 toes on both the front and the hind feet. In this particular case, you have 2 tracks here. So it looks like a jumble of toes, and it can be kind of confusing. But remember, as the animal is moving forward, which would be that direction, the hind foot will land on top of the track of the front foot. So in this case, this clearer track here is your hind track. And this one is the right hind track. First, you can tell because of the position of this tiny inner toe here, which is toe number 1. You can also tell if you look at the position of the other set of tracks from this same animal. These are the left ones, and they're to the left of the imaginary line of travel right here. So now if you look a little bit closer, let's look at this pad down here. On the hind foot, this is the metatarsal pad. On the front foot, it's the metacarpal pad. It corresponds to the same bones that you have in your hands and feet. So notice that the outside edge, the outside edge of this pad starts low below toe number 5 and comes up. There's a large pad here that's shared by toes 3 and 4. And then there's a smaller pad here that's for toe number 2, and there's a small pad here that's for toe number 1. So that's true of your mustelid family, and otters and mink weasels show that really well. Skunks are a different sort of a structure. So the shape of this is kind of like an upside down V or a chevron shape, and you have your 5 toes. So on the hind track, the central toes 2 through 5 are kind of grouped in an almost canine-like fashion. If you couldn't see this toe right here, which you barely can here, then this could look like a canine track, or even almost like a squirrel track, right? Except for the fact that this pad comes out to here, which indicates there should be a toe right there. And there is. There's this little tiny divot with a little claw mark. That's your toe number 1, which is the inner toe. So underneath that hind right track, there is the right front track, which is pretty much obliterated by the hind track stepping on top of it. So moving up here, and the light is getting a little sketchy here, so I apologize. I don't know if that's any better. Probably not, because you can see the toes a little clearer here. So here is the front track, and the hind track here is on top of it. So here's the inner toe, toe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and here's the pad. Now there has been a bunch of wind. 26, 28 mile an hour gusts have been through here in the last 2 days, so it has been kind of destroying these tracks. So they're not as perfect as the day they were made, but they're still fairly nice tracks. And you have the front track up here, and you have the hind left on top of it there. But these were such perfect little right tracks there that I thought they would be a good one to show you an example of how you can identify the tracks of the mink. So otters, of course, are a much larger animal than mink. And, you know, this mink track here is about 1 inch and some change there. And otters' tracks can be 3 inches. You know, they're huge. They're a much larger, heavier animal, even though they share the same environment. and they hunt similar things. Otters are larger and can take larger prey than mink can. So this is just a little introduction to Mink Tracks, and here it is a nice little grouping of 4 prints that I hope you were able to see. With the wind, I may not be able to find any better examples of the tracks of this animal that walked through here, because pretty much everything got wiped out by the wind. If you look up here, it's been swept clean. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about mink tracks and how to identify them.